This is the throne of Hastinapura. For generations, the struggle to fill this seat acted as a catalyst for a succession crisis, one that would eventually draw the ancient world into its most devastating war. The conflict began when King Shantanu sought to marry a fisherwoman named Satyavati. To allow the union, Satyavati's father set a hard condition. Only her children would be permitted to inherit the crown. Devavrata, the king's eldest son and rightful heir, chose to step aside. He took a vow of lifelong celibacy to ensure his father's marriage could proceed, earning the name Bhishma, the person of the terrible oath. However, Satyavati's sons died young and childless. The direct royal bloodline was severed, leaving no clear successor. Devavrata's sacrifice, meant to bring his father happiness, instead created permanent instability. The kingdom was left searching for a legitimate heir to fill a growing structural void. To prevent the dynasty from collapsing, the court summoned the sage Vyasa to father heirs with the widowed queens. Vyasa was a forest-dwelling ascetic, and his unkempt, terrifying appearance physically impacted the children he fathered. The eldest queen closed her eyes in fear during their union. Because of this, her son Dhritarashtra was born blind, legally barring him from the throne. The second queen turned pale with fright, and her son Pandu was born sickly. While Pandu was able to take the throne, he lived under a deadly curse prohibiting any intimacy with his wives. This new generation was defined by these physical and legal limitations. The kingdom rested on a fragile foundation, caught between a cursed king and a blind prince. Queen Kunti utilized a divine mantra to bypass her husband's curse. This allowed her to invoke the gods directly to provide the kingdom with heirs. She bore 5 sons, the Pandavas, fathered by deities like Dharma, Vayu, and Indra. They carried a divine lineage that the court could not ignore. In the city, Queen Gantari's own pregnancy took a different turn. After 2 years of gestation, she delivered a dense, unresponsive mass of flesh. That mass was divided into 100 jars. From these emerged the Kaurava brothers, led by Duryodhana. When Pandu died, blind Dhritarashtra assumed control. The rival branches were forced into the same palace, creating a political bottleneck with no exit. Duryodhana understood that he could not legally displace the eldest Pandava, Yudhishthira. To secure his own rule, he pivoted from political maneuvering to a plot for assassination. He commissioned the Lakshagriha, an opulent palace for the Pandavas. Hidden within its luxurious walls were layers of highly flammable lacquer, wax, and twigs, designed to ignite at a moment's notice. The Pandavas were invited there for a vacation, but a secret warning from their uncle Vidura allowed them to prepare. They spent their nights digging an escape tunnel beneath the structure. When the palace was set ablaze in the dead of night, the Pandavas used the tunnel to flee. Guided by the strength of the brother Bhima, they escaped into the earth while the structure above them turned to ash. The Kauravas believed their rivals were dead, and with that attempt at arson, any remaining trust within the dynasty was destroyed. The rivalry had evolved into a direct struggle for survival. In 2017, the Archaeological Survey of India began excavating a site in Uttar Pradesh to investigate the historical basis for the House of Lak. Archaeologists discovered pottery and artifacts that align with the culture of other sites mentioned in the epic. While the flammable lacquer described in the text has not survived, the finds confirm the area was inhabited during the era associated with the conflict. Within the narrative of the Mahabharata, the destruction of the house represents a point where legal solutions failed. The use of fire to settle a royal dispute indicated that the crisis had moved beyond the reach of laws or elders. The history of the Kuru dynasty is a record of broken bloodlines and failed treaties. From the ruins of the House of Lak, the path leads directly to the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The Kuru Empire sits at a point of deceptive peace. The Kaurava princes occupy the throne, ruling with the comfort of men who believe they have eliminated their rivals. They are convinced their cousins, the Pandavas, burned to ash in a meticulously planned arson attack on a remote palace. But miles away, a royal bridal contest is underway. King Drupada has arranged a Swayamvara for his daughter, Princess Draupadi. The challenge is staggering. suitors must string a massive steel bow and shoot a moving target by looking only at its reflection in oil. Princes from across the continent try and fail to even lift the weapon. Then a man in the tattered robes of a beggar steps forward. He picks up the bow, strings it without hesitation, and sends an arrow straight through the target. As the disguise drops, the dead walk. The beggar is Arjuna, the third Pandava brother. This single shot wins Arjuna the hand of the princess, but its real impact is the immediate destruction of the Kauravas narrative. The Pandavas are alive, and their return instantly destabilizes the Kuru line of succession. The brothers return to their hiding place to show their mother, Kunti, their prize. Calling out from outside her room, Arjuna announces they have brought home alms. Distracted and without looking, Kunti issues a standard command: whatever you have brought, share it equally among yourselves. In the worldview of the Mahabharata, a mother's instruction carries the weight of cosmic law. To prevent Kunti from becoming a liar, a unique domestic arrangement is forged. Draupadi marries all 5 Pandava brothers. Word of Arjuna's survival and this new marriage reaches the royal court at Hastinapur. The Pandavas have not only evaded the assassination attempt, but by marrying Draupadi, they have locked in a massive military alliance with her father's formidable kingdom of Panchala. The Kaurava leadership realizes their assassination plot has backfired. Facing the threat of an immediate, fully backed rebellion, they are forced to negotiate. The elders intervene, and the Kauravas reluctantly agree to divide the Kuru Empire in half. The partition is a calculated insult. While the Kauravas keep the thriving capital of Hastinapur, they hand the Pandavas Kandavaprastha, a barren, snake-infested tract of wilderness. It is a land grant designed to ensure their new kingdom fails before it even begins. The Pandavas clear the wasteland and, with the guidance of the god Krishna, engineer a masterpiece of urban planning. They transform the harsh terrain into Indraprastha, a utopian capital characterized by wide boulevards, shimmering lakes, and deep prosperity. And this mythical construction has a footprint in the modern world. Today, archaeologists widely identify the ruins beneath Purana Kila in the heart of modern Delhi as the historical site of Indraprastha. Indraprastha was no longer a waste. It was a flourishing center of trade and justice. By every metric of wealth and inhabitants, it had steadily grown to completely outshine the original capital of the Kauravas. The absolute crown jewel of this new city is the Maya Mahal. It was built by the celestial architect Maya Danava. The palace is renowned for its architectural deceptions, where floors, walls, and pools are designed specifically to challenge the visitor's perception of reality. When the eldest Kaurava prince, Duryodhana, visits Indraprastha for a royal consecration, he is already consumed by intense jealousy. Walking the halls of the Maya Mahal, his paranoia and rage short-circuit his perception of the architecture around him. Mistaking a highly polished, crystalline floor for a pool of water, he gingerly lifts his royal robes to avoid getting wet. Minutes later, overcompensating for the error, he assumes an actual lotus pond is solid ground and plunges straight into the water. The Pandavas and their servants openly laugh at him. For a proud crown prince who is obsessed with his own dignity, this public mockery inflicts a deep, permanent psychological wound. Dripping wet and humiliated, Duryodhana concludes the Pandavas' strength is too great to challenge. He decides to move the conflict from the battlefield to a space of ritual and rules, where he can use the Pandavas' own adherence to protocol against them. Duryodhana turns to his uncle Shakuni, who devises a trap, a formal invitation to a royal game of dice. It presents the civilized veneer of a gentlemanly wager, but it's structured to strip the Pandavas of power without drawing a sword. B.B. Lal's Hastinapur excavations revealed 5 layers. In the Kuru period's painted grey ware layer, excavators unearthed oblong ivory dice used for chopar, but Shakuni's dice were magically loaded. The game offered an illusion of chance, guaranteeing Yudhishthira would lose every throw. Bound by royal protocol that forbids backing down, and harboring a fatal weakness for gambling, Yudhishthira refuses to walk away. Roll after roll, he wagers and loses the treasury, the army, the kingdom of Indraprastha, and finally, the freedom of his 4 brothers. Bankrupt and desperate, he stakes his own freedom and loses. Then, prompted by Shakuni, he makes the ultimate wager, his queen, Draupadi. When the dice tumble, the rulers of the most prosperous city in Bharata are legally reduced to slaves. Duryodhana claims the queen as his property. On his command, her hair is seized and she is dragged into the open court by force, ignoring every rule of royal conduct. In front of the kingdom's most respected elders, who sit in total complicit silence, the Kauravas attempt to publicly disrobe her. Stripped of all earthly protection, Draupadi raises her hands and prays to Lord Krishna. What follows is a direct intervention of divine reality against human deception. The fabric of her sari unspools endlessly. No matter how much cloth the Kauravas pull away, more appears, exhausting the attackers in an infinite stream. Her dignity is preserved, but the damage is absolute. Standing in the silent hall, Draupadi swears a vow of blood vengeance against her abusers. A final compromise is struck to prevent immediate bloodshed. The Pandavas are banished into a grueling 13-year exile. This ancient ivory die, carved with circular rings, represents the exact mechanism the Kauravas used to strip the Pandavas of their empire and freedom in a manipulated match. The cost was severe: 12 years of harsh exile, then a 13th year living entirely incognito. Kings and princes, previously draped in heavy gold armor and accustomed to royal courts, were stripped of their status and cast into the unforgiving forest. By using the strict rules of a royal game to force their rivals into a legal exile, the Kauravas neutralized their opposition without ever mounting an open assassination. During those 12 years, a period documented in the Vana Parva, the Pandavas did not waste away in defeat. They used the severe isolation of the forest to consolidate their power and survive the wilderness. Arjuna, the greatest archer of the brothers, subjected himself to intense physical and mental austerities, seeking catastrophic divine weapons directly from the gods. This diagram illustrates a central concept of the epic: dharma, or righteous duty. Playing by the universe's strict rules requires enduring agonizing restriction and suffering. But as the scale shows, adhering to that discipline directly generates immense cosmic and personal strength. By the time the 12th year ended, the forest had burned away their naivete. The Pandavas emerged as hardened warriors, their authority now backed by years of sacrifice. But the hardest test was the period of Agyatwas, the 13th incognito year. The terms were terrifying. If a Kaurava spy spotted and identified even one of the brothers, the entire 12-year exile would instantly reset. To survive, these legendary warriors assumed extreme, humiliating disguises in the court of King Virata. The giant warrior Bhima worked as a palace cook, while the world's most lethal archer, Arjuna, lived as a eunuch teaching dance to women. The psychological toll was heavy. They had to constantly suppress their true identities and endure menial submission, completely unable to fight back against daily disrespect. Maintaining these masks for a full year was the final exercise in restraint. To win back their kingdom, they first had to master the ability to remain invisible in their own land. The Kauravas knew time was running out, so they laid a trap. They launched a massive cattle raid on King Virata's territory, assuming the hidden Pandava warriors would be forced to fight to defend their host, thereby revealing themselves. The Pandavas did defend the kingdom, but they operated covertly. They utilized their supreme combat skills from the shadows, doing exactly enough to repel the invaders without breaking their cover. By repelling the attack and running out the clock, they legally fulfilled the terms of their 13-year exile. This victory demonstrated the Pandavas' unwavering commitment to the law, leaving the Kauravas with no legal excuse to withhold the kingdom. With their debt paid, the Pandavas finally stepped out of the shadows, ready to legally reclaim their capital city of Indraprastha. But the Kaurava leader Duryodhana was blinded by his own authoritarian greed. He famously declared he would not yield even a pinhead of land to his cousins. To avert a total slaughter, Lord Krishna launched a final high-stakes diplomatic mission. He offered Duryodhana a massive compromise. The Pandavas would drop their claim to the empire if they were given just 5 small villages to govern. Duryodhana arrogantly rejected the offer of 5 villages, and then made the fatal mistake of attempting to arrest Krishna, the peace envoy. The diplomatic collapse laid bare the Kaurava position. They had used the law to abuse their family, but had no intention of governing according to those same rules. Imagine a battlefield stretching to the horizon, thick with dust, horses, and elephants. This is Kurukshetra, where millions of Pandava and Kaurava soldiers have gathered. These warriors are locked into rigid strategic formations known as vyuhas, massive engineered grids, ensuring no escape. This deadlock is the boiling point of a bitter dynastic feud between royal cousins. Decades of deception, rigged games of dice, enforced years of exile, and failed diplomatic negotiations have finally led both factions to this field. The sheer mass of the assembled forces creates an irreversible momentum. Every person on this field expects a day of immediate, total slaughter. But right at the threshold of the violence, the perspective shifts from these massive armies to a single chariot. The Pandava prince Arjuna asks his charioteer, his guide, Krishna, to drive him out into the no-man's land between the front lines. Standing between the two armies, Arjuna recognizes the specific faces in the opposing line. He is looking at his beloved grandfather Bhishma, the teachers who taught him to fight, and the very cousins he grew up with. The realization triggers a total physical collapse. Arjuna is arguably the greatest archer in the world, yet his limbs go numb. His legendary bow, the Gandiva, simply slips from his fingers. He tells Krishna that he would rather live as a beggar than win a kingdom by killing his own kin. To Arjuna, the only absolute moral choice is to abandon the field and embrace a life of non-action. The paradox of a righteous war has trapped its greatest champion. His refusal to fight brings the momentum of the entire epic to a complete halt, right on the precipice of battle. Time seems to suspend on the battlefield, as the charioteer Krishna reveals his true identity. He is not just a driver, but an avatar of the supreme deity. This marks the start of the Bhagavad Gita, the Song of God. Over 18 chapters, Krishna systematically deconstructs Arjuna's worldview and his reasons for walking away. Krishna argues inaction is an illusion. Choosing not to fight is itself an action, guaranteeing the triumph of an unrighteous enemy. Krishna introduces karma yoga, a method of moral reasoning separating the act from the desired result. Arjuna must perform his warrior duty to restore order. He must act without craving the fruits of his work, whether a kingdom or personal glory. The ultimate requirement of this philosophy is a state of absolute emotional detachment. He must fight even those he loves, because his personal feelings are irrelevant to the cosmic necessity of the act. To prove his point, Krishna grants Arjuna divine eyes to witness his universal form. It is a staggering, terrifying display of infinite silhouettes limiting cosmos, all contained within a single entity. This vision reveals a terrifying truth. On a cosmic timeline, all the warriors on the field are already dead, consumed by the march of time. Arjuna realizes that he is not a murderer taking a life, but merely a mortal instrument executing a preordained cosmic justice. This overwhelming philosophical and visual revelation finally breaks Arjuna's paralysis. He finds the detachment he needs to pick up his bow and fight. Time snaps back to the physical reality of the field. Arjuna reclaims his bow, and the colossal 18-day war erupts. The first 10 days of the conflict are brutal. The Kaurava army is led by the formidable patriarch Bhishma, who holds the Pandava forces at bay with devastating efficiency. Bhishma adheres strictly to the chivalric rules of Dharma Yuddha, or just war. He fights with honor, refusing to strike anyone who is unarmed, retreating, or disadvantaged. However, Bhishma's perfect honorable defense makes victory for the Pandavas impossible. They realize that conventional, chivalric combat will only lead to their defeat. Krishna argues that conventional morality can actually protect those who have no moral code at all. To win, Arjuna must apply the teaching of detached action to its most difficult extreme. He must prioritize the restoration of cosmic order over social conventions like fairness. They employ a calculated stratagem. Arjuna places a warrior named Shikhandi at the front of his chariot. Because Shikhandi was born female, Bhishma's personal code of honor forbids him from striking back. Arjuna uses Shikhandi as a shield, approaching Bhishma and ruthlessly piercing his grandfather with countless arrows, while the old man refuses to raise his weapon. The patriarch falls, suspended above the earth on a dense bed of arrows. It is the iconic, tragic climax of the war's first phase. The Bhagavad Gita is not a passive or peaceful meditation. It teaches that the pursuit of ultimate cosmic duty requires shedding all personal sentimentality, proving that true righteousness often demands devastating, tragic compromises. The Kurukshetra War, as described in the ancient Indian epic the Mahabharata, started as a conflict of high ideals. Before a single weapon was drawn, both sides agreed to a strict code of chivalry. Battles paused at sunset, and warriors were only allowed to duel opponents of equal rank and weaponry. These rules were governed by the concept of dharma, a sacred duty and moral law woven into the very fabric of ancient society and recorded as physical edicts. But an 18-day struggle involving millions of soldiers tests the limits of honorable warfare. As casualties mounted and desperation set in, those sacred agreements began to crack. When a war becomes a matter of absolute survival, the righteous side eventually has to decide whether they are willing to cross their own moral boundaries to avoid annihilation. That breaking point arrives on the 13th day of the war. The opposing Kaurava army deploys the Chakravyuha. It's a terrifying, impenetrable military formation, a rotating, lotus-like labyrinth of infantry and chariots designed to crush anything that gets near it. The Pandavas face a disaster. Their greatest warrior, Arjuna, has been lured to a remote edge of the battlefield. The only person left who knows how to pierce the Chakravyuha is Arjuna's 16-year-old son, Abhimanyu. He knows how to break in, but he was never taught how to get out. He smashes through the outer defensive rings, but the enemy forces instantly seal the breach behind him. Trapped inside, Abhimanyu fights valiantly, but 6 of the top enemy generals encircle him. Violating the most sacred rule of one-on-one combat, they destroy his weapons, smash his chariot, and beat the exhausted child to death. The slaughter of a 16-year-old boy strips the war of its remaining illusions. To defeat an enemy that has discarded its humanity, the righteous Pandavas realize they must abandon theirs. By day 15, the Pandava army is being decimated by the enemy commander, Drona. He is virtually invincible, protected by celestial weapons and unparalleled skill, so long as he remains armed and willing to fight. Krishna, the Pandavas' divine strategist, realizes they cannot win through martial prowess. Instead, he orchestrates a dark psychological trick. He has the Pandavas kill an elephant named Ashwathama, which also happens to be the name of Drona's only son. They spread the rumor that Ashwathama is dead. Drona refuses to believe it unless he hears it from Yudhishthira, the eldest Pandava brother, who is renowned across the world for his absolute devotion to the truth. Yudhishthira confirms that Ashwathama is dead, muttering the word elephant under his breath. The half-lie works. Shattered by grief, Drona drops his weapons and sits down on the bloody battlefield in a yogic trance. As he meditates, a Pandava general rushes forward and severs the unarmed teacher's head. Legend says that Yudhishthira's chariot, which always floated slightly above the ground due to his purity, instantly sank into the dirt. With this execution, the Pandavas forfeit the moral high ground, beginning a rapid descent into deceit. 2 days later, the descent accelerates during a duel between Arjuna and the great Kaurava warrior Karna. As they fight, the heavy left wheel of Karna's chariot sinks deep into the bloody mud, leaving him entirely immobilized. Karna steps down to free the wheel. He appeals to Arjuna to pause the fight, invoking the ancient laws of Dharma that forbid striking a warrior who is unprepared. But Krishna intercedes. He demands to know where Dharma was when 6 warriors surrounded and murdered 16-year-old Abhimanyu. Krishna orders Arjuna to waste no more time. Arjuna raises his bow and decapitates the helpless, unarmed Karna. On the 18th and final day, the last Kaurava leader, Duryodhana, is forced into a mace duel against the Pandava powerhouse, Bhima. Knowing Bhima cannot win fairly, Krishna signals him to strike Duryodhana's thighs, a blow strictly forbidden in traditional mace combat. Bhima smashes the man's legs, leaving him to die in the dirt. The Pandavas officially win the Kurukshetra war, but their victory rests entirely on a foundation of deceit, trickery, and shattered laws. As he lies bleeding out, Duryodhana curses the Pandavas. He accuses them of winning a war without honor, cementing a deep, unresolvable hatred that outlives the battle itself. That hatred passes to Ashwathama, the son of the beheaded commander Drona. Boiling with grief over his father's murder, he watches an owl silently swoop down into a tree at night, slaughtering crows as they sleep. He realizes the rules of war no longer exist. Under the cover of darkness, Ashwatthama sneaks into the victorious Pandavas' sleeping encampment. He murders the remaining commanders in their beds and systematically executes all 5 of the Pandava queen's children. The Pandavas chose to use deceit to survive, but that choice birthed an even greater, unconstrained evil. They saved their own lives, but ensured the total annihilation of their lineage. When the sun rises the next morning, the scale of the devastation is total. Out of the millions of soldiers who marched onto the battlefield 18 days earlier, only a handful of traumatized men survive to claim an empty kingdom. Yudhishthira inherits the throne, but he is ruling over a graveyard. The epic records over 1 billion dead, a staggering mythical casualty count meant to etch the horror of this war into the permanent memory of the culture. The Mahabharata does not celebrate this triumph. It lingers on the grief of the widows and the deep depression of the victors. The 18-day war at Kurukshetra is over. Millions of men are dead. The Pandava brothers have won the throne, but their great victory amounts to ruling over a sprawling graveyard. Surviving wives and mothers wander the ash-covered battlefield, searching for familiar faces among the broken chariots. The air is thick with the wails of women who have lost entire generations of their families in a matter of days. Among the mourners is Gandhari, the blindfolded queen mother of the defeated Kauravas. She walks through the carnage knowing that all 100 of her sons have been slaughtered. Her grief quickly hardens into pure rage, directed at one specific figure, her nephew, Krishna. As a divine incarnation, Krishna had the power to stop the bloodshed before it began. Instead, he let the slaughter happen. Standing among the corpses, Gandhari delivers a devastating curse. She decrees that in 36 years, Krishna's own family will tear each other apart, and he will die a lonely, animal-like death in the wilderness. Krishna does not argue. He smiles and calmly accepts the curse. He understands that this brutal clearing of the board is part of a larger cosmic necessity, an unavoidable rebalancing of the world. The Mahabharata spends thousands of verses building up to this massive conflict. Yet the moment the victors claim their prize, the glory evaporates, leaving only the ashes of a destroyed generation. The eldest Pandava brother, Yudhishthira, returns to the capital of Hastinapur to take the throne, but the blood on his hands paralyzes him. Disgusted by the cost of his crown, he wants to abdicate immediately and live as a forest hermit. Desperate for guidance, he seeks out his dying grandfather, Bhishma. Clinging to his final breaths on a bed of arrows, the old general gives the reluctant king a grueling lesson on dharma, his earthly duty. Bhishma explains that a ruler cannot indulge in the luxury of a clean conscience. True kingship means bearing the heavy, often distasteful burden of power to maintain order and protect the innocent from further chaos. Reluctantly, Yudhishthira accepts the crown. He initiates a 36-year era of peace, working exhaustingly to rebuild the shattered kingdom and restore prosperity to a traumatized society. The victor's actual reward is the grueling work of fixing the world they had to destroy. They act as a temporary dam, holding back the inevitable tide of cosmic decline. But dams eventually break. 36 years pass, the peace expires, and Gandhari's curse activates. Krishna's clan, the Yadavas, gather for a festival by the sea. A minor argument breaks out and rapidly escalates into a violent drunken brawl. Using reeds that magically turn into iron clubs, they slaughter one another down to the very last man. Surviving the massacre of his people, Krishna retreats alone into the forest. As he rests, a passing hunter mistakes his exposed foot for a deer, looses an arrow, and accidentally kills a god. With the divine protector gone from the earth, the age of mythic heroes officially ends. The world slips into the Kali Yuga, a long, dark age of spiritual decay and moral compromise. Time eventually erodes everything. Even divine lineages and ironclad dynasties are swept away, proving that no earthly power can outlast the cosmic clock. Hearing of Krishna's death, the Pandavas realize their era is finished. They hand over the crown, dress in tree bark, and walk north, embarking on a punishing physical march up the frozen slopes of the Himalayas. As they climb higher into the blinding snow, they pick up a strange companion. A solitary, starving stray dog quietly trails behind the legendary warriors. The altitude and exhaustion take their toll. One by one, these seemingly invincible heroes collapse into the snow and die. Even Draupadi, their shared wife and queen, falls. Yudhishthira continues walking without looking back. He knows exactly why his siblings perished. They harbored subtle mortal flaws. Pride in their strength, vanity in their looks, and partiality in their love weighed them down. Only the king, who dedicated his entire life to justice, survives the ascent. He reaches the summit of the mountain alive, accompanied solely by the shivering dog. The sky opens, and Indra, the king of heaven, arrives in a golden chariot. He invites Yudhishthira to step aboard into paradise, but adds one condition: the unclean dog has to be left behind in the snow. Yudhishthira flatly refuses. He tells the god that he would rather suffer in hell than commit the cruelty of abandoning a creature that trusted him. At those words, the dog begins to glow. Its ragged form morphs into a radiant divine being. It is the god of Dharma, Yudhishthira's spiritual father, revealing that this was his ultimate final test. After thousands of pages of complex politics, magical weapons, and shattered empires, the epic delivers its final lesson. True victory has nothing to do with conquering a kingdom. It is the ability to hold on to your compassion when every other worldly illusion is stripped away.